world of Len, a great war between the continents of Ebros and Alkish is forcibly brought to an end by the Tempest, a cataclysmic storm that rages over the surrounding oceans. An uneasy peace has been forged, with relations growing colder each passing decade. A party of adventurers, calling themselves the HYDRA, are the only ones to notice the cracks in the ice. A race against time before the world is plunged into the freezing depths of total war. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, in a debt to a friend. A homebrew campaign.
Hail and well met, dearest viewer, and apologies for how late this session's recap is. Indeed, I am doing 3 sessions to recap, and I've only got notes for 2 of them. Mostly just because I've been out of my groove, and also as well I've had a lot of technical issues, so now I'm having to resort to recording this through Logic Capture, which, fingers crossed, might reduce the amount of editing I have to do, but we shall see. So we're going to play, we're going to recall the stories of sessions 26, 27 and 28, unless it's 20... I'm pretty sure that's right. It's been a while. It has been a while, and I'm still not getting my funk back. So, but this is the last day that I have free to do this, so I might as well take advantage. In the late afternoon, I decide to stop by the Temple of Gond, as Cornelius buys a miner's headlamp for a silver piece, which provides dim light, and Rakanar buys rope. I decide that at the Temple of Gond, I'm going to try and seek some divine intervention. Perhaps find peace with the gods now that I have spoken to one and even had a weapon blessed by them. So, I go to the Reflectorary, where an anvil sits as an altar with various metal bits and pieces all around. And it's nice and quiet here. Sometimes people come and go, others stay, listening to the voices of Gond. And as I pray, I hear a voice. Commissar, it's Professor Olmec. I'm back at Field. We talk via sending, and he suggests that we focus on the leads that we have rather than the guesses in the expedition. Finding a jet on a haystack, Volmac believes is the phrase. He says, I resume divine contemplation. We rendezvous at a tavern, and we decide that we're gonna take some time to just relax and perhaps enjoy the final days that we might see, seeing sunlight. Well, what we can see through the smog of Thunderhelm. And the morning comes far sooner than we would like, as we pull our asses into gear and head off to the Undercity. In the Undercity we head to a giant ziggurat with trees sprouting out around it and fountains dotted around. And the building next to it that says the Reclamations Guild. We went after Cornelius had made sure very valiantly that it was not in fact a kidnapping cartel. As we enter the guild, we find our guide, who will be taking us through mine 345D, whatever the rest was. And our guide is Ayrtonin Minehand. And I apologise to everybody who exists, who has existed, and who will exist for the accents that I am performing. We're marshalled and we exit the Undercity's walls. Oh, I better show you the Undercity. I forgot that I can do this through Logic Capture. So this is the Undercity, and so this is the building we were talking about, and I think this little hut here, next to this one, is the Reclamations Guild. Not to be confused with the Requisitions Guild. Oh dear, I've turned that off. Okay, right, we're back on. So, as we are about to enter the tunnel, we can actually get back our goods, and we take the items from the adventurous box. So it appears to be a box that is connected to the one at the barracks, or like the entrance to the upper spire. We march through the tunnels. Time goes on, and Eratonin tells us about the Reclamation Guild. The goal is to reclaim lost glories buried deep into the mountains. And while they don't reject black powder and chandelier, there are many secrets left unfound and untold, as the light from our torches grows brighter and the shadows grow longer. We pass various underground roads and highways until she says, "Ah! We are at a destination, yeah?" The tunnel here is a lot less well maintained, with cobwebs, dust, and not as uniquely cut rock. Cornelius asks Mindhand about her history, and she prefers being underground due to her pale skin, and is told that coconut oil is great for it, which now makes coconuts canon. They talk relationships and Eratonin and Eratonin shacking up during the holidays. As we continue, she finds a particularly interesting moss. Meanwhile, Ragnar marks the walls with chalk to navigate his way, and that's why I buy everything in the Adventuring page tab back in session 8 was it, or something like that. Yeah, it's good to do that. Yeah, we've been totally lost with that chalk, or just like picking up any pebble and just scratching it, and maybe setting ourselves on fire with a flint. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just completely mad. Anyway, we continue on, with Mindhand insisting that our fumbling around in the dark is exactly the spirit of the Reclamation Guild. As we continue on, Ragnar feels the ground shake as we fall, as Eratonin bends over to pick up a strange mushroom. These two incidents are not related, I should say. We all fall, but Mindhand's quick thinking has a cast feather fall upon us as we descend down a dark and dingy tunnel. This is where we land. Cornelius asks Mindhand about her history, and oh no, sorry, I haven't scrolled down long enough. We land in a lake with mossy rocks beneath us. The water is thick with spider webs, and after great effort to lift our legs, we're able to break the webs and make it a dry land. I light a torch, and while it erupts... Sorry, after hearing our DM do that noise, I have to do that noise also. And instead of illuminating 20 feet in bright light, it only illuminates 10, and even Tack's Devil Sight is halved to 60 feet. Ooh. Now I will say this, like there was a one shot that the group did, and like it told me, like it just sort of like proved the importance to me of dark vision, and how strong it is. And in this instance as well, like it actually added an air of tension. This is why, in my own campaign setting, I'm looking at ways to reduce light, where players will need to have torches, and make sure it's like standing dry wood and not just like damp, swampy logs or whatever, to light things. Yeah, so like light is a luxury in my campaign setting. And it does add so much to the game. So this was a really cool moment that could easily be, I think, overlooked, but yeah, and it made things a lot more tense. Big combat that there may or may not be, because I haven't got to that yet. A lot more difficult as well. We had to be very careful. And yeah, so paying attention to lighting is pretty good. I like that. Kudos to the DM. Ragnar looks at the webbing and he finds that it writhes slightly, and he feels a draft in front of him, but beyond that it's hard to see. I attempt to look a bit further up, but end up slipping into webbing, and when it's torn by Ragnar and Rigsby, it coalesces again very quickly, as if it's almost alive. We move forward, the wall of webs burning, but quickly reforming when we put a torch to it. Ragnar finds minecarts with minecart chunks of obsidian. Some of the pieces are too big, but he finds another cart, about 10 pieces of ancient obsidian. Ooh. So I've been meaning to ask this, but I need to know like what the rarity is of obsidian in this setting. Like, is it a mineral that's used often? And if we were to take some, how much it'd sell for? We talk about what we're entitled to, and as I try to recall the agreement that we made with the Reclamations Guild, not to be confused with the Requisitions Guild, that we made about loot, Tak notices shapes skittering above us, and above Reckoner in particular. Many-legged forms and bulging unholy eyes appear in the dark, as giant spiders and driders appear. And so we roll initiative. I'm not going to go into the combat because, I mean, it was cool. There is a moment in that combat. Oh, that's serotonin, by the way. Oh, no, hang on. That's serotonin. The precious pudding dwarf. And yes, so here we have combat. And yeah, so those are the driders. Yeah, here. I apologise if my mouse cursor isn't right in the right place. Giant spiders here, here, and here. Serotonins. Weapons there. And... oh, not meant to see that yet. So, yeah, but that's the combat. As we take stock of what happened, I put out the flames that I'd created with the counter featherless water. I noticed that the webs which are burnt do not grow back, so it appears as though the dark influence of the driders here has had some impact on them. Reckoner with a 22 survival check tears out the fangs of the spiders, and he also finds a sword, a +2 magical longsword. Yeah, a magical longsword which does +2 to hit, which I've identified with the identify spell with the pearl I bought. Hey! So yeah, it's slowly but surely paying off. And yeah, so that's good. We take a break as players, and I suppose as well as characters, and I ask Serotonin if she's shaken, but she says, "This is what exploring is all about, even though I nearly met sudden death." The tunnels narrow as we progress, and there's a cave-in eventually. There's a secondary tunnel which fits us better than the minecarts, and it isn't natural, but rather created. The tunnel narrows as we progress, and there's a cave-in eventually. However, there is a secondary tunnel that juts to the left, which fits us better than the minecarts. Back the way we came looks like a cave, but forward is constructed with a door blocking the way. Tak uses the Wand of Secrets and finds no traps with it. He opens the door, peeking to see a dim-lit room. It contains racks of antique armour and weapons, all seemingly of dwarf make. There's a corridor to the north. The weapons and armour are basic, nothing particularly worthy of note except, while simple, aren't old. They look maintained. The guide looks at it. "This must be a wonderful example of dwarven craftsmanship. What else could it be?" Tak uses his Wand of Secrets to go forward as we leave the weapons behind, understanding that to touch these is to disrespect the ancient dwarven ancestors. As holy men Cornelius and H.Y.D.R.A appreciate this. We go forward and there's no traps or hidden areas that we know of. There's a couple of rooms that are lit by fireplaces. Comfortable chairs squat in front of said fireplaces, with rows of beds. And in the chairs closest to us appear to be two dwarves. They start and look up at the door creaking. They look different. Their skin is pale and ruddy, almost as if they haven't seen light for quite some time. As the H.Y.D.R.A yell, "We'll run to attack!" And with that, we roll initiative. Again, going into the not going into too much detail. Oh yeah. So yeah, so that's the also as well. Yeah, so these H.Y.D.R.A, they have the ability to like barrel forward, and begin to transform and embiggen themselves. They can turn into large creatures, and this of course meant of course a battle of the enlarge reduce spell being used. Also as well, they seem to have some mages or some other thing that allows them to go invisible and sneak through our ranks completely undetected. So that was rather worrying, but fortunately we dealt with them. Again, I'd love to go into the combat, but I really don't want to take up any more time than I need. There is also as well Aratone and Minehand's Dwarven Spiritual Guardians, the best spell in the game, as they go, hooray for Megatron, as they just punch rhythmically the Duragar to death by Megatron's golden fists, is what I've got here. So but it was honestly a really good combat, and yeah, very very fun in general. So we continue. We check the bodies as Cornelius rolls medicine. The dwarves seem pallid and unhealthy, and on their person are entirely armaments and scale mail armour. No money or other personal effects. He looks through the rooms, and while they offer a modicum of privacy, there's nothing particularly interesting. Minehand doesn't know what these people are, only that they're told of in scary stories to children. They were forgotten, stuck underground. Somehow, they simply became wrong. I inspect the reading material on the shelves and find maps which seem to map out some of the tunnels, as they would. Minehand claps hands with glee, seeing how the tunnels show that if we continue on, we might make it outside. I offer the maps, which reveal a mess hall, a forge, and a mine ahead. The room smells of the coppery tang of blood, and damp fills the air. We decide to use this room to camp for the night, as Cornelius plays his pipes mournfully, hoping the Duragar find their way into the grand symphony. Symphony. A bang is heard at the door. "Why is this door locked? I won't ask again," says a voice from behind the door, rattling the barricades. Tak tries to deceive them, but rolls a nat 1. Silence. Suddenly, the door booms with splinters going everywhere as Tak takes 8 fire damage as an elemental bursts through, with Duragar watching at the distance. Cornelius yells, "What in the hells?" before casting dissonant whispers at the elemental, seeing it as it snarls, as it rushes towards him. Tak snarls, "You think a spark like you can frighten me?" He uses his chromatic warding ability to become immune to fire for 1 minute, which I didn't know was a thing that Dragonborn had. I know they have the fire breath. I don't know if this is this from Modern Kynans or something, I don't know. Anyway. So more combat, and to which Rakanar leaps out of bed. He's just talking to Nero on his ring of animal bants, and says, "Shit, I'll call you back." To which Cornelius player as my boys get jumped. So so onwards we fight. Minehand going, "Oh no, oh dear, not again." And we fight, and we manage even to oh yeah, this is the combat. Oh yeah, that's a bit too far. Spoilers. I keep spoiling everything. There are disadvantages to this. We managed to take ourselves a prisoner in the end, capturing a life who was retreating, and it's a good job we did. Cornelius casts whole person to take this woman prisoner, and we disarm her and take her back to the living quarters. As I check the corners, Tak holds a katana to her neck, which is a canon. I think we established that before. I do apologise. It has been a while. And while Rakanar ties a rope around her, but the rope slips as she shrinks back down to a normal size. She tries to flee, but Tak grapples her, and she's able to struggle. And she's able to struggle in an attempt to use sleight of hand to free herself, but fails to break free. Tak intimidates her, and I really like this. This was quite an evocative image. He intimidates, suggesting that he'll flash fry her head, and she surrenders, not knowing that Tak has used his breath attack already. Very good. We bring her back, and when Tak asks if there's anyone else we should know about, he slaps her unconscious. Cornelius and Tak, she just backhands and knocks her out. So Cornelius and Tak talk interrogation. She wakes up soon, and this time Cornelius uses a bit of tact with her. I'm Cornelius, Herald of Melee. We didn't want to attack, please. Will you help us avoid needless bloodshed? What do you mean, needless? You're the ones who broke into our room! I'm sorry, we didn't mean to come this far. If we knew you were here, we would have paid the proper respects. He tells her that he tells her that we thought that this part was unexplored. He rolls 33 persuasion, the highest DC in the DMG being 30. Impossible. The Duraga's shoulders sag. You're saying this was a mistake? You're not here to wipe us out? Why would we want that? Cornelius asks, turning to Minehand. We're the left behind. When the Empire collapsed, we were here, left, barricaded. Oh no, I remember the stories. You raid the cities for livestock, and she just carries on like that until someone stops her. She turns to Eratonin. Getting there. I think I'm a bit dehydrated. Turns to Eratonin and says, we raid the cities because we've no cities of our own. Cornelius asks, what is your name, friend dwarf? Haldoran Darkbranch. Haldoran, I'm sorry we had to meet under these circumstances. And he introduces the party and Eratonin Minehand. Oh, hello, pleased to meet your acquaintance, I suppose. So, will you help us avoid more bloodshed? We were sent to explore these tunnels, which didn't go very well. Perhaps this is the time for diplomacy, to prevent needless bloodshed. No, you'll only send more to take our homes, to drive us out and further down. We'll tell the leaders up there to work with you, coexist. At one time, you're all one people, were you not? Hey, that's what the stories say. What did I tell you about manners? Asked Tack, who gets daggers stared back at him. Cornelius puts his hand on her shoulder. If you cause us no harm, we'll cause you none either. Will you lead us to your people, to entreat one another? She looks like she's trying to stand, and Cornelius rolls 23 with 25 persuasion with advantage. Cornelius stands with her, and offers her help. He casts one of his final spells, Cure Wounds, first level, restoring 11 HP. Nice. I'm sorry we met like this. I hope we can move forward in good faith. If you truly are here to break bread, then follow me, but I must warn you. If my people see you do anything hostile, they'll not hesitate to attack. The topsiders don't take too kindly to our kind. She glares at Minehand. Cornelius offers to send Minehand up to keep her safe, but she's not sure how we can get back. Tech talks about uniting their people. Rakanar talks about the information she could learn from these people. Oh, that does sound rather interesting. We could reclaim our lost glory. The Duragar snarls. These are our homes, not just sites to be reincorporated for the topsider tourists. Learning about these places may reveal invaluable insight to what was lost. Potato, to which Cornelius says, it's not potato. You should show the same respect to these people as you did the weapons of your ancestors. A rumble is heard as Minehand contemplates this. Just as she's about to disagree and put aside her former prejudices, suddenly the walls from next to us we hear an explosion as ticking machinery whirs. Dwarven infantry from their burrowing machines emerge with heavy weaponry shouting, "We're here! Yes, saith!" And with that, session 26, I think, session 26 ends. And this is what the Dwarven infantry look like. And we'll see more of them very soon. Let's continue. Okay. With any luck, we might have this done in the hour. We shall see. Dwarven infantry sweep out, looking about, wearing packs, gently puffing steam. Long guns are raised with pistols pointed. Organised chaos is the watchword. One of them yells, "We'll found them! Get back to house command!" They begin scanning the room, weapons drawn and checking over the casualties. It's Sergeant Goldensunder who's leading this. We talk about having a prisoner, and the rock singers, which are attached to the Dwarven attached to this unit are the dwarven mages, who are some sort of a fantasy platoon radioman. And they're arguing back and forth between Golden Sunder and those at High Command. If you really want to make peace with us, you should entreat H.Y.D.R.A. Apparently, the Banshees are inbound. Those who finish things off at the fort. Watchkeep Lambridge, I believe it was. Was it Watchkeep Lambridge? Fairly certain it was. Again, I had to apologise. It's been a minute. We decide that with the 3 hours we have until their arrival, we're going to split up. Ragnar, Rigsby, Erdotonen and I stay with the dwarves and await the arrival of the Banshees. Cornelius and Tack will go with H.Y.D.R.A and Dark Branch, her weapon now in our hands, as we're going to break bread and try and stop the impending diplomat, as I, Ragnar, Rigsby and Erdotonen, try to stop the delegation from being interrupted by the trigger happy isn't the word, swing happy with the great swords, I don't know, of this person. And I will say that splitting up the party is not a good idea. We now have proof of this. It did work for story purposes, but yeah, it was pretty bad. And I've come to realise actually, like with this moment and now being a DM, like how hard it is to deal with splitting parties and character death. If that hasn't kept you hooked, I don't know what will. So the focus is almost entirely now on Cornelius and Tack, who go with H.Y.D.R.A and Dark Branch. She goes around and south through an open door to reveal a room much like a furnace, a forge. I will show you this as well. The hammer in Takavria's hand, the hammer of Volker, Takavria's weapon, twitches slightly. A number of Duragar and fire elementals are stoking a fire, the roar of flame deafening, which explains why they couldn't hear what was going on in the previous room. One of them looks up and goes, "What's wrong? Did you see what's wrong with the outsiders that come? We've come to entreat Timebreaker. They spared my life." Cornelius and Takavria have no weapons equipped. And so the dwarves say, "Yes, Timebreaker will know what to do. You there? You are authorized to speak on the behalf of the topsiders." "Whether they like it or not, yes," says Cornelius. They move on. Around the corners are blue glowing crystals. Chandelier. An overwhelming wealth of chandelier. They move on. Around the corner, they're outsiders. They know where we are now. They've asked for an audience with Ironbreaker. We have to evacuate. We have children down here. Prepare, says H.Y.D.R.A. as a flurry of activity begins in the mines. Perhaps some soothing words would help. The temperature here is getting hot, says Takavria in suggestion to Cornelius. Yeah, don't worry. The service wants peace with your people. You, the Duragar, wants one. And that's what I know. And I know furthermore it's what they desire once more. Please, don't fear. But you probably should wear masks because germs are a real threat. Cornelius rolls 31 persuasion and with tact providing advantage. They're convinced, but also that Ironbreaker will know. Ironbreaker will know. Ironbreaker will know. Ironbreaker will know. Ironbreaker will know as they chant. H.Y.D.R.A. pulls the two along. Come. Ironbreaker awaits. The temperature begins to rise around them. It's almost unbearable as they open the doors. Constitution saving throw of 17 from Tack is required as he feels a massive wave of humidity hit him, much like at the Temple of Volker. He maintains his composure and nothing untoward happens as a result. They're led through a cavern atop a platform which sits a moat of lava. Tak powers through it, watching the earth elemental step out. One of them turns to him. "What do we have here? Outsiders! What have you done, H.Y.D.R.A? We've been found, H.Y.D.R.A. It might be time to accept the end of the H.Y.D.R.A. With that, we take a bit of a break. This is where we are. There's iron golems, there's dwarves just milling about, there's a dragon with treasure and various horses being slain. How very interesting. Cornelius and H.Y.D.R.A stand before a well-armoured dwarf flanked by a small retinue, inspecting mine shafts and veins of chandelian on maps. There's a small red dragon which sleeps, taking no notice of the two so far. "So what do we have here? Outsiders?" "Yes, we've been discovered. The topsiders know where we are now. They are on their way here as we speak. We must sound an evacuation at once." Cornelius asks Darkbranch if there's any etiquette to use before we head out. "If there's any ceremony you have, now's the time. We don't have much time to spare." He turns to H.Y.D.R.A. "Please, wait a moment. My name's Cornelius, and this here is H.Y.D.R.A and Nix. We're part of the service party who made initial contact with your people." "Contact? What do you mean?" "The men of the guard post, they're all dead." "I regrettably have to confirm that. It was a misunderstanding. We never thought we'd bump into your people." H.Y.D.R.A. sighs. "Now you bring ruin upon our people. If that branch says that his two brothers are on the way to this very location, we don't know that. That's not. They're holding their positions, like you right now. They're afraid. They don't know. They're afraid of the unknown. So, what have you come to do? To gloat while the slaughter is delayed?" "Well, I know you want to evacuate your people, and that might not be the worst idea. But please, bring a delegation to the surface. Don't you want to be reunited with your people? This was once a great calamity, and you were separated. You could unite, war can be averted, fear will retreat, and this will decide the fate of countless generations to come." Cornelius rolls 15 persuasion. "Evacuate we shall. The topsiders aren't to be trusted. Bring them with us." He points to the strangers, and the H.Y.D.R.A begin to move through false passages. The dragon begins to stretch its wings and follows. "It looks like we're falling back to the city." Tak asks in Draconic, "Your name? What is your name?" He yawns and ambles away. Cornelius goes after them without resistance. Tak follows also, jogging behind him. Cornelius has to roll athletics, and he's winded, very much out of breath. "Please, H.Y.D.R.A, I understand your concern, but please, from the hells, just send a peace delegation. Just send someone. Diplomacy can help us avoid conflict. Time is of the essence." "Aye, time is of the essence, but we need to move." "How far is it?" "You'll see. If you're true to your words, you try anything, you'll die in this passage and you'll never see the city." They continue on, false walls all around. Eventually they reach a trench, and beyond it is a gigantic cavern which reaches for miles. It's quite the sight. As they meander through the trench, they reach a large set of gates. H.Y.D.R.A approaches guards and explains. Sounds of alarm begin past the gate, which slowly begin to rumble open. They take their first steps to the lost city of G.E.E.S.E. Above us, the red dragon flies lazily. The H.Y.D.R.A citizens watch fearfully. This here is G.E.E.S.E. That's our red dragon friend there. And this. So I believe we've come through here, gone through these gates. There's the trench. Go through there. And Gunner's attack and Ironbreaker and H.Y.D.R.A are going this way. So. You must go to the Iron Citadel. You must make your case or we prepare for war. Oh, also as well, my apologies. This is the artist, Callum's Compass. Let's move my camera so we can see and credit them properly. A large escort takes them to the obsidian spire ahead, wherein they're brought to a large hall. It's oddly reminiscent of the hall topside. Ironbreaker moves forward. We must wait a moment. The word is going out. If you have a plan, now is the time to confirm it. He leaves them alone, under the watchful glare of a number of guards. The two see children stealing glances and the adults draw their kin back. It's not quite the same as Thunderhelm. We have to work quickly, says Cornelius, before the guards get angsty with their weapons. Tack nods and asks to smoke. He does so when a guard shrugs at him. He takes a drag and waits for the decision. The council, or what we have a council, is ready. Come. Ironbreaker says, leading us. When I say us, I mean only Tack and Cornelius. And H.Y.D.R.A, I guess. Not Ragnar, Rigsby, or Erton and I, so... The antechamber has seen better days, a broken mirror of its former days. No longer does light flooding through the windows, but dust dancing in what little light nature permits here. Some Durgar gasp, some remain silent, but otherwise the atmosphere is gloomy at best and at worst angry. We've been found! Our Chandelian outpost has been discovered. Right now as I speak, topsiders are making their way to that outpost. It's only a matter of time before they arrive here. These two emissaries have arrived. They spared one of our own, and I believe we should hear what they have to say. There's murmurs of assent. The floor is theirs. Cornelius bows to them. His Tack watches tensely. Thank you, Ironbreaker. The Quorum, as it's called. My name is Cornelius Bonaparte, and this here is Tack of Rheonix. We were part of an expedition to explore lost tunnels beneath the city of Thunderhelm. There was a collapse, and sadly we bumped into one of your parties. They raised weapons, we raised weapons, and sadly, before anyone could stop to talk, there was blood. This was regrettable. There's murmurs of, they've killed some of our own! Cornelius rolls 26 persuasion. Ironbreaker calls for quiet. Quiet! Go on ahead, emissary. He wants Cornelius to go on. The conflict was regrettable, and unfortunately unavoidable. Neither side attempted diplomacy, neither communicated. Out of fear we drew weapons. As we went deeper we encountered more of you. Once again no communication, only bloodshed. Luckily we met one. H.Y.D.R.A in a dark branch, where we found common ground and we learnt of you and your history. You were once unified with the topside. You were once brothers and sisters. The Quorum listens intently. We knew at that point diplomacy was the only option to avoid further conflict. Suddenly, dwarves on the surface descended, not realizing you were down here, and were solely here for a rescue. And now they hold their positions further directions from their leaders. Now my friend and I plead with you, just as our friends are pleading with the surface dwarves, come together with a peaceful delegation to engage in diplomacy, not warfare, to bring about an age for both of your peoples. Perhaps you want reuniting or lucrative trade, or perhaps a new start to a new dawn. I say to you, Quorum, I beseech you, send a delegation. We will go to the surface and we can talk. We can begin discussion. No bloodshed, no warfare, no evacuations are necessary. If we just... talk. Cornelius rolls persuasion with advantage. 24. Ironbreaker chimes in. They are going to find the outpost. They'll breach any second now. When they see it was inhabited, they'll come for us. Why not take the initiative? One of the Durgar calls out. We put it to a vote to the Quorum. Meanwhile, back in the barracks, I swig a healing potion and repair Rigsby as Ragnar rests up with his Christmas cookie from a one-shot we had. Major Bruckner appears with banshees in her command. The dwarves move into the side to let her and her forces in. They don't salute, and neither does the Major. She ignores me to talk to the Sergeant. Ma'am, we've made contact with these indigenous peoples. Our returning goes on about them, and this time, Rakana interrupts. There's an infestation of degenerates here. Let's finish the job. Degenerates, Major. I proceed and snaps them. Degenerates, whatever they may be, they are citizens of the kingdom. She looks under the sheet of one of the slain. HYDRA. Well-armed and armoured citizens, Commissar. They attacked agents of the kingdom. This can't do. Step aside, Commissar. We're going to solve this. We're going to deal with this infestation. I'm afraid I can't obey that order, Major. Oh, I was hoping you said the Commissar. She smirks. Meanwhile, Ironbreaker decides that he'll be the delegate. And Cornelia says, today, we chose the dove over the hawk. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I spoilers. It's not too far now. The Duragar wear gear which does not reflect light to aid in their stealthy operations. The Honor Guard have two-handed hammers, and Ironbreaker has no weapon. Are you sure you want to take weapons to the peace talks, to diplomatic discussions? I'd rather go prepared if this goes south. I want my people to get out alive. I understand. Well, let's hope this doesn't go south. With me! And they begin their march. The Duragar contingent of the party goes into a room filled with runes. Some of them appear rather hesitantly to start activating some of them. As they begin to activate, a circle appears in the centre of the room. They take position in the circle. Cornelius and Tak are beckoned to join them, and so they do. There's a thrum of energy, as vibrations as ancient runic energies begin to charge up. Instead of a bright light forming, it appears as if darkness envelopes them. Tak looks around. You can see through it. It's almost like a living cloud around them. Cornelius' light goes from him. There's a bright light, bright flash in their eyes. Tak sees through it. An absence of energy, then a puff. He's back. In Thunderhelm. He stands outside the bastion that overlooks the upper spire of Thunderhelm. As we stand, Ironbreaker says, "It's now or never." They're right in front of the guard post. Merchants and guards look around. Who goes there? They're stunned, silent. Tak stands tall. We are here in the name of the Commissariat on a diplomatic mission. The G.E.E.S.E wish to parley, to integrate before your fear. Will you grant us entry? Dwarves are stunned silent. Some look to one another. And with lightning speed for these squat folk, they draw their long guns and point, "Put the weapons down, stow your arms!" etc. The Duragar obey, throwing their weapons down with a clang and raising their hands. Ironbreaker says, "The records didn't say there was a force here," he says with a nervous chuckle. And he puts his hand up also. Tak and Cornelius have their passive perception noted. Various squads of infantry bring their weapons, and Cornelius in particular notice the guard tower, with the Duragar appearing behind the ballista crews. Ironbreaker? Ironbreaker says, "Eh, what?" He looks up and sees dwarves in the watchtower, and suddenly they slit the throats of the guardsmen manning ballistae. Ballistae? I don't know. I heard it pronounced in, was it Elric lately? I don't know, in an audiobook. Should know, really. And the cannons as we roll initiative. Cornelius casts invisibility on himself, Tak, Ironbreaker and another Duragar. We have to make it out alive! And with that, they begin to move about and navigate the battlefield as best they can, trying to find a way to open the gates and let reinforcements in and deal with these assassins. And eventually, they managed to open up one of the gates. Oops, spoiler again. That was Banshee. Run my camera this way. So, it's in this house up here that that Cornelius goes. Tech3 also manages to activate alarm around here as well. And just as like they are dealing with these assassins, wondering what the hell is going on, one of them faces Tack, one of the final assassins, and says, "You will not allow the warm bloods their alliance." We notice as well that previous assassins, this is why I need to recall that, I should have recalled the combat of this one, but never mind. These Durga assassins, when they fall, they dissolved into a puddle of acid, and they actually splash onto other people, which is a tad familiar. And one of them, and one of the assassins, is a traitor! You have betrayed us too long! And tries to flee, but splatters to the ground as Tack just throws down a bit of force with his Eldritch Blast. And just for a brief moment shows the form of a draconic assassin, but dissolves to remove all evidence. Charging for the open gates in the north are dwarven heavy weapon squads and a noble. What is going on? What is happening? Tack uses thaumaturgy to make his voice boom. Stand down! This has all been a trap! My voice for Tack changes every single time. I apologise, Tack Player. The dwarves and Durgar turn to him, and Ironbreaker throws his weapons down at the foot of the stairs, shrinking. I just imagine like the Super Mario shrink sound. As he just shrinks down to his normal size from his enlarged property. Cornelius comes down, removing invisibility and saying, "We're here on a diplomatic mission. This party is here to achieve peaceful goals. The assailants are not with us." Meanwhile... Oh, so yeah, so this is Major Bruckner. This is one of our Banshees. And this is what's happening here. Meanwhile... Commissar Katusha Lost Cows, I'm arresting you for treason against the crown. Please don't make this easy. I watch her and say aloud. Any man who wishes to leave should do so. Your honour shall not be besmirched, your souls not be damned. But those who fall this day shall have their convictions stand for eternity. Good luck, everybody! And with that, I unsheath my saber and stand in defiance of the overwhelming opposition. I do then ask out of character, "Oh, sorry, Reckoner, did you want to surrender?" to my heroic speech. Oh dear. And the Banshees raise their weapons in unison and they begin their approach. Except one of the rock singers yells from the back, "We've got orders from the head chambers. There's something going on topside. This comes from a chancellor." The major turns. What do you mean? Answer me now, dwarf." I don't know, but it's a chancellor." Major Bruckner turns to me and stares daggers. "Well, Commissar, it seems you've earned a stay of execution. We'll settle this topside," she snarls, and that's where the session for 27 ends. Ah! Yeah, so pants were shat in that session, and yeah, I don't think it was a particularly fun session for the team, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, but sorry, in that regard, anyway, like for that, I think they enjoyed like the diplomacy and the combat and such, but splitting the party was a bad idea. I mean, I think, okay, in terms of like my character motivation of like trying to keep the banshees away from the dwarven delegate for however long was a good idea. In terms of meta and playing the game, that was a bad idea. And as well, like, not really sort of clearing up with the DM, like, because we'd spoken about it, and like, we're fine with it now, but at the time, I was like, I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, why did I actually do this? Is this a way of like killing off the character and replacing them? I was like, yeah, but it's a bit too late to like introduce a new character. I was toying with the idea of like maybe playing as one of the H.Y.D.R.A, who's like on a peace mission and like exploring the world, like Moira Grimm's daughter. No prizes for guessing. Well, that might be a reference to. But then, okay, I could do that, but I needed to clear with the DM far sooner, and I didn't. So, yeah. So it was basically like, I'd say it's a communication breakdown, but it's like it's entirely on me. I'm the one who broke down the communications that I was supposed to be initiating. But honestly, like now, in thinking about this, like having taken some real time to consider what I actually want from my character and what role I want to have in the party, I'm actually okay with not having that many offensive spells or being like a frontline fighter. It's just trying to like find my role in the party, and I think the session, or rather the scenario that we're in now, in session 28, I think I know that actually I can provide a bit more to the party, and I like what I provide to the party. So, what do I provide to the party? Well, unfortunately I haven't got any notes, so I'm going to have to try and remember this off the top of my head, and even though I was fairly distracted at the time, I have my darling dearest with me, and yeah, and so, like, her needs have to come first, I'm afraid. So, yeah, so the party ascends, returning to the surface, and the delegation is a success for the most part. That it will take time for prejudices and fear-mongering and all this sort of thing to be relieved and to disappear. But in the meantime, we have achieved peaceful goals. Oops, excuse me. There we are. Hey, full screen. Nice. I can zoom out a bit. Nice. So, I swear to God, if this fails on me, I'm not going to be too best pleased. So, so the party is thanked for this dwarven delegation, and we now have the dwarves looking into the Temple of Air, as we can then go pursue these other places. We decide very wisely to try and get out of town as quickly as it can, but before we do, we stop by the tavern, get piss drunk. I challenge Recognize a bit of camaraderie, and I'm trying to interact with the players a bit more, rather than just like playing the single player game in a team environment. I actually want to try and interact with the characters a bit more, and one thing I did was I challenged Recognize to a drinking contest, knowing full well I'll fail. And I just get plastered, and apparently I'm the Lizard Queen. I know nothing about this, but who knows, if we do come across some lizard folk, I might say, bow to me, I am the Lizard Queen, and just see if it works, maybe the conviction will sell. Maybe they know something that I don't. But yeah, and I drew my saber, and I declare myself the Lizard Queen, which is just about as effectively as the RP before went, really, So, yeah, so that happened. Ereton in my hand found, I think, a dwarf or a H.Y.D.R.A and went out with them. So that was nice. I'm happy for them. And we decided then there's not really much else that we can do, and we leave. We decide that we're going to set sail for Brecca. And we board a ship, and we crash. That's it, really. No, there was a lot more to it than that, but I don't have the notes for it, and honestly, I wasn't in the best headspace at the time anyway. I was massively distracted by all sort of things going on, so I couldn't really focus on what was actually happening on the ship. But yeah, we shipwrecked. I think it was like a storm that blew us onto the island. And of course, who could forget as well the Captain Pugwash theme being used there as well. And now we're basically having to try and build a raft Fortunately, we have the decanter of endless water, so we have an endless supply of drinkable water. We need some food, so I don't think I can create food as a artificer. We need to get some other stuff, like some navigational supplies, and then we can make our way to Braca. And yeah, that's essentially where we're at now. Oh, and we're fighting some sharks as well, which is quite scary. So, yeah, so I apologise that like this session recap hasn't been the best one. I would say it's one of my worst session recaps because I just don't have the notes or the will right now. Yeah, but I'm glad I finally got round to doing this. The sessions themselves were great, all three of them. Yeah, and honestly, like session 26 and 27, like the first two of this recap, whatever number they were. Yeah, the ones with the H.Y.D.R.A were fantastic, and it was really nice to see as well, because I love my dwarves, I really do. I love my dwarves, and seeing like the H.Y.D.R.A make an appearance, and the relations between the dwarves and the H.Y.D.R.A, that's what I really want to know about. Bearing in mind as well that, and it also told us more about the idea that a lot of the information about the Empire of Ostergarth has just been lost. It doesn't exist. And basically, like, the kingdom is essentially a castle built on the ruins of another castle, and it's things like this where we have to discover them. Reminded very much of Dragon Age, actually. Yeah, in Orzammar. Yeah, but yeah, honestly, no, really good sessions. I just wish I could do a better recap for them, but yeah, still. I've still not got my funk, and I need to work on that. But perhaps the next session I will be all good and ready. And in the meantime, I might even recap some tales that I've DM'd, at least talk about my campaign setting, because this is something as well that I want to talk about. I have spoken with the DM about potentially doing like lore guides on the world of LAN, and doing them in like different characters, like for example, I don't know, like Damien's dossier of the Royal College of Magics, or like Captain Jansen's Compendium of Law and Order, and so on and so forth. Like, yeah, and things like that. So, or Red Tiger's Guide to Ebros. You know, who is Red Tiger? You don't need to know yet. You don't need to know. But yeah, and but that's also given. In the meantime, I can satisfy that itch by perhaps doing some lore videos on my own setting of Novaspec. And yeah, I don't know, because the thing is like, it really is like a fantasy heartbreaker of H.Y.D.R.A. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, I look forward to whatever it is I do next. I look forward to doing it. I just need to get myself motivated. Fortunately, I have a lot of time off this month, so I'm going to take advantage of that as I have done today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Take care, and yeah, ta-ta for now.